Hello and welcome to our random, amazing Thursday night call. So we were on a kind of an emergency Zoom with my accountability group. I had Phil come on and give us some tips for marketing and messaging some things that we were working on as a group, and it was literally phenomenal. So if you were on that call, would you drop like some love in the comments of literally like were you just mind blown at what he was sharing for us? There was just like a handful of us on, and it was literally so good. Rachel literally messaged me afterward and was like, "We need more Phil, like get him on." I was like, "Okay." And I mean, she shows up today with a hat on that says, "Nobody cares, work harder." So I'm so excited to introduce this senior Ruby brand ambassador. He's not just a dude, he's a senior Ruby in Plexus, but he is a marketing genius. Literally handles millions and millions of dollars to market for Liberty University and many other companies. He is like a startup company guru and all of the things. And if you ever are wondering, what should I say or what's a good tagline, I always message him and I'm like, can you help a sister out? Yes, he's badass. That's what someone said. But I played the Rocky song for Phil from Philly, playing the Rocky soundtrack. And I don't know if it's ever going to get any better than that. So, Phil, that's your new walkout song. But please welcome Phil Milakovic to our call tonight. Woohoo!
Thank you so much, y'all. I hope you are all having an amazing day. I don't like to brag about myself, but I am going to brag for a second because I want you to understand that I actually know what I'm talking about. So the annual budget that I manage for ad spend is $90 million. So if you think about that, you're getting the millions of dollars that I test to see what works and what doesn't work in this knowledge. So I'm not just someone who is sharing some good insight. I'm someone who's sharing insight that has been tested and proven with millions of dollars. And so I'm not trying to be like, my wife would say at this time, that's a very arrogant statement, or that's very smug. I don't talk a lot unless I'm very confident about what I'm going to talk about. And with marketing, I am very confident about what we're going to talk about and how I can help you get to the next level. Because learning how to share your story with confidence, that's the key. Whether you've just gone silver and you earned your first $300, or you're a diamond and you're living in financial freedom, you have a story and that story matters. And before we get started, what I really want you to hear from me is, you hear it from my wife all the time, messy action. Guys, telling your story is not about perfection. It's about connection. It's about connecting to the people who you're marketing. It's about them seeing themselves in your story. So as you hear everything that I'm going to say today, I want you to hear this. I would love the person on this call who just went silver or just went senior silver. I would love to have your story right now because you are more relatable than someone who is making multiple six figures in this business. Because when we tell people our story, you know what they say to us all the time? Well, that's good for you. I could never get there. But when you tell someone, I just made $300 or I just helped someone make $300, you become a lot more relatable to them. So it's not about perfection, it's about connection. They join because they hear something real, something relatable. And this call is being recorded. I'm sure Alita will pass this along. I have notes. Like, y'all, you got to understand, I prepare for these calls. I'm reading from a Google Sheet. I will share my Google Sheet. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, like it's word for word what he wrote. Yes, I prepared for a few hours for this call. Because I don't take this opportunity lightly. because this is a craft, right? Marketing is a craft. What you are trying to build is a craft. And so if you're going to get on here and be like, well, let me hear what he has to say, I better have something good to say, you know? And so I want to make sure that I have that. So let's just look at some high level overviews of, oh my gosh, do I really have a story? Were you exhausted before Plexus? That's someone else's story right now. They're exhausted. So hearing how you're no longer tired is an answer to their prayer. You just earned $300. That's someone's dream to cover the grocery bill for their family. And if you have a gut health testimony, that might be the answer to someone's daily battle. You don't know what they're struggling with. I'm going to tell you guys a quick story. There was a girl that I used to work with in Florida, and my wife was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous about her life. She has everything. Her house is so great. They have all the gadgets." And you know what that girl said to my wife? "I am so jealous about your life because I'm in mountains of debt. And I have to go to work because of the lifestyle we live. And I'm so jealous of what you have because you can come and go where you want to go." Guys, so much of what's holding us back in our businesses is our predetermined judgments of people. You can't judge people. What you have to do is tell your story or someone else's story. My story may not mean anything to that person, but Alita's might. That's the power of testimony. And so I want to share with you tonight how to leverage testimony, how to not look at your situation and take it for granted. Because, you'll hear this, if Alita allows me to talk more, you'll hear me say my philisms. And one of my philisms is don't let your struggle, the thing that's holding you back, is the same thing that propelled someone else. So remember, oh, I'm on Medicaid. I can't pay for the products. We were on Medicaid. We were on food stamps. And we allowed ourselves the desire to get out of that situation to spark something inside of us. So don't allow those things to be what holds you back. Allow the situations and the stories you have to propel you to your future. Because stories change lives. If you hear me talk a lot about in today's talk, I'm going to share stories. Because I believe when you speak in stories, you're painting a picture. And when you paint a picture, they can see themselves in you. But before we talk about that, I want to really get into some of the nitty gritty. This is going to be probably the most boring part of this conversation, but it's also probably one of the most important things. There's been some recent studies that came out about network marketing. And did you know that 90% of people trust recommendations from people they know? We didn't know that. But there's no shock when we started doing the shout out post. When someone signed up and we had them do a sign up post or a shout out post, there's no wonder our business exploded. Because 90% of people trust recommendations from people they know. And referred customers are 4 times more likely to buy. 81% of consumers say word of mouth influences their purchase. Y'all, we're in a good business. Because we're in a business that thrives on word of mouth recommendations. That's what makes network marketing so powerful. That's what makes the industry you're in so lucrative. That's what makes, when my wife brought this position or this job in front of us and said, "This is where I want to go. I want to do Plexus." I looked at the compensation plan and said, "I'm all in. Let's go." because I knew what I saw. And so you may not be that person. You might be like Megan when we first started, and she goes, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just making money. And I'm in the background knowing exactly how every dollar's coming in. And I said, just keep doing what you're doing, baby. You don't have to be in the know. You have to trust where you are. And I believe everyone on this call believes they're supposed to be here. So have trust in that belief. And so one of the biggest things I want you to understand through all this is, guys, we have to make it personal. Think about how you found Plexus. Was it a product ad or someone's story? What got you into this? Was it someone posting a picture of the triplex and you're like, I need to try that? Or was it someone's testimony saying, I conquered this, or I'm experiencing this? And so then you said, you know what? I want that too. And so I want you to think about what got you here. And let's duplicate that. Let's say, all right, what is my story? How am I going to share and relate to people? And here's the beautiful thing, y'all. There's a story in everything. You just have to be willing to tell it. Someone's first order, that's a story. Feeling better after 3 days? Yo, guess what? That's a story. The first time you signed someone up, that's a story. Extra grocery money, that's a story. A trip to the Bahamas where you took your family for the first time on a vacation, that's a story. I talked to someone here recently. They've been an educator for 15 years, never took a vacation outside of a radius of 2 hours of their home, and they were able to take all their kids on a trip to the Bahamas. Y'all, that's a story. There's people on our team right now who has never been on a flight, and they've now been on 3 flights because of Plexus. That's a story. So let's go over what makes a great story. There's 3-part formula for this. Okay? And don't worry, this is being recorded. And this is also, I'm going to give you these notes. And here's the other great thing too. I don't know if they announced it. So if they did, I apologize. After we're done this Zoom, I'm going to stay on later. And if you have one-on-one questions for me, if you kind of want to be coached through this, I'm available. And if they change their mind, they're not doing it anymore, guess what? We're doing it now. So here's the 3-part formula. Is before. What was life like before Plexus? What was the decision? What made you say yes? And then what changed? What happened after that decision was made? And so I'm going to repeat that again. What was your life like before Plexus? The decision, what made you decide, and what happened after? I'll give you a perfect example. I can't tell you how many times we coach someone and they just got all bought in for Plexus. They're going for the business and they're reaching out to people, and those people are ghosting them and they get really frustrated. And you know what the first thing I said to him is? It took you 2 years to respond to my wife. Why did you ghost us for 2 years? You forget that sometimes when you're in the weeds right now and you want to grow. Sometimes you forget what it was like before. Guys, that marketing knowledge is really important, because if you really think about what you were thinking of before Plexus, for us, we made fun of Alita. So when I talk to people, I automatically assume they're probably making fun of us. That's just the way I am. So how were you? Were you a little nervous? Did you think it was a scam? Did you think it was whatever your thoughts were? You need to take notes of that and use that to your advantage now. And so that three-part there, before the decision, what made the decision, and after. So here's an example. Before Plexus, I was dragging through my afternoons. I saw a friend's post about better energy, and I finally said, why not? Within 2 weeks, I felt the difference, and now I'm helping others feel the same. Guys, that's a story. You just did this is how I felt. This is why I made a change, and this is how I'm feeling. You're allowing other people to see themselves in your story. Now, if you know marketing, marketing is a multi-channel approach. You don't just do one thing. All right. So how many of you guys on this call are just posting on Facebook expecting that this is going to be it? They're going to see it and they're going to reach out to me. Well, no, sometimes you have to do a multi-platform approach. So you're going to do your social media post. Then you're going to want to do one-on-one DMs. You're going to want to do live conversations at church or at the school pickup, one-on-one with people. And then you want to do events. Because what's going to happen is they're going to see their post. They're going to see your post, your story. And there's going to be some people that are going to be nervous. Yeah, that's for Candy. That's not for me. And so they're going to be nervous to reach out to you. But then when you do that one-on-one conversation with them, or if you DM them and say something, then it's like, oh, I've been meaning to reach out to you. I've been noticing what you're doing. So you want to think about it as a multi-channel approach. We do social media. We post on it. We message people. I will pick up the phone and call people. You can't get away from me because I know what this opportunity has done for us, and I know what this has done for others. Y'all, you want to know how bold I am? I was talking to a girl that I used to work with, and I messaged her, and I said, hey, you really need to look at this thing that my wife and I are doing. She read my message on Facebook, and she didn't respond to me. I texted her the next day. So I messaged her on Facebook. She didn't respond to me. So now I texted her phone number, and I said, you can't ignore me. I will talk to you. You might as well call me today. What do you think she did? She called me that day, and we talked about it. Y'all, I don't play games. Now, I'm not saying you all that's all your style, right? My wife's like freaking out right now. She's like, my wife would never do that. But that's the way I am. What I do, I'm serious about and I'm passionate about. And I have so much confidence in what we're doing. And so I'm going to talk to you about it. Oh, I'll tell you that story. I was so proud of my wife. My wife called me and said, I need to message this person. What should I say? I said, pick up the phone and call her. She will never answer me, Phil. She will never. So we sat on the phone for 15 minutes trying to come up with a plan of what's going to happen if that person doesn't answer. And I said, you're spending too much time on the what if. Just call her. Well, she's not going to answer. She hung up on me angry, right? Because this girl was not going to answer. And she called me back a half hour later, said she was just on a 25-minute conversation with the girl who picked up the phone. I say all that to say people are thriving in the need of connection. They need it. They need to feel like they're wanted. They need to feel like they belong somewhere. And so if you're just sending messages out to people, you're missing a huge opportunity. So I want to flip some of the scripts a little bit. Um, can you mute Megan? There we go. I want to flip on the script on some of the things. What if they judge me? Okay, how do I share with confidence? What if they judge me? They might. But what if they need you? That's what gets me, guys. Do you think I want my life all over Facebook? I don't. If you know me, I'm a very private person. If you know me, I absolutely do not like a call with 51 people on who are just staring at me. Like it irks me. I just don't like it. But I've learned very early on, what if there's someone on this call who needs what I'm saying? Then by me keeping that to myself, that's too selfish for me. So I would rather get out of my comfort zone for you. So what if there's someone on your Facebook right now? What if there's someone that you're afraid to reach out to right now? What if there's someone that you've been avoiding because you're nervous that what if they judge you and they're screaming inside saying, I need that person to reach out to me about this opportunity? What if that person needs their life changed and you have the life changing opportunity? You first have to believe you have a life changing opportunity. And that's what I truly believe we have. And then you have to trust that you're the one that's going to give it to them, that you're the one that's going to help them achieve what they've never dreamed they could achieve. Let's look at another fear. Man, I wish I was in Megan and Phil's position. If I was making what they're making, I'd be screaming it from the rooftop. But I already talked about it earlier. Where you are is more relatable than where we are right now. So when you're hitting those early ranks, or when you're helping your team hit those early ranks, what do you think is more believable? Telling someone I can get you to diamond, or telling someone I can get you to silver? So your story is relatable. You have to use that. There is no story too small. And part of this crafting in confidence, guys, is you have to change your mindset on what you're doing. I am not selling anything. I'm inviting people into an opportunity. It's theirs to say no to it. I am not going to prejudge their answer, but I'm going to tell every single person I can about what we have because I believe in it that much. Because your job isn't to convince someone, it's to connect someone. I don't need to convince you to do this with me, but I need to connect with you for you to feel comfortable to move forward. So, what are some things that you could do to start sharing, right? Some of the things are, you pick one moment that in your journey that made you proud. When I earned that trip to Bahamas and I was able to take my family, I was really proud. When I went silver, when I went senior silver, when I went gold, that was a proud moment. But you write the story, I want you to write the story like you're telling a friend, not a brochure. Again, am I talking to you, or are you reading it from marketing material? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And keep it real. Keep it short and keep it you. So pick a moment that you're really proud of. Write it down like you're telling a story. Keep it real, keep it short, and keep it you. Don't tell a story like I would tell a story. Megan cannot tell stories like me. She's horrible at them. So she has to tell stories the way she would tell it. But keep it you. Vulnerability builds trust. Trust builds belief, and belief builds businesses. I'm going to say that again for y'all. Vulnerability builds trust. Trust builds belief, and belief builds businesses. So I want to ask you, as we close this, I want to ask you all a question. This week, because I know everyone on this call wants to go deeper in the plexus. So this week, what have you avoided and why? What are you avoiding in your business? And why is it? And I want you to take your story, no matter what it is, and I want you to share it with at least 5 people. Stop avoiding your growth. You know, I tell people this, and it's a hard lesson. And so I apologize up front. But when you allow your fears to stop you from growing, you're putting that fear over top your dreams. You're putting that fear over top your family. So don't do that. Write your story down. Send it to 5 people. And I want to celebrate with you that it was done. It may not be perfect, but I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for vulnerability. And so I'm going to say that because I believe that was good. Vulnerability builds trust, trust builds belief, and belief builds businesses. Y'all, let's build businesses together. There's a lot of people that need belief. And with that, Ida.
I was like, I'm about to come in because that was a mic drop. Let's build businesses together. So good. Oh my gosh. Okay. I was writing notes. What was life like before Plexus? What made you decide? What was the outcome? So the thing is all these trainings are incredible, right? First of all, drop some love for Phil in the comments. But if we just take it and we don't apply it, then nothing changes. So if you're committed to actually doing what he suggested, sending this out to 5 people, sharing your story, I want you to drop a fire emoji in the comments. This is my whole thing is application. We can learn, but you're actually not growing until you're practicing. We have this limiting belief that tells us I can't do it like Phil can. I can't do it like Megan can. I can't do it like Luther can. I can't do it like Bree can. And so we tell ourselves all these, so I just can't do it. And then we freeze in that paralysis of fear. And so I love that he said that. Don't put fear over your family. Don't put fear over your dreams of retiring, of bringing your spouse home, of having the opportunity to say yes more than you say no. Don't put that fear there. So definitely get into action and do these things, right? Take big action. Okay, so let's open for Q&A. If you guys want to hop off, you can. I'm going to leave the recording running so that we can record the questions and answers if there's anybody. But this is a great opportunity. Don't be afraid to get coached. I would have given just about anything for this kind of training when I was trying to build my business and had no clue about nothing. So this is huge. So if you have a question, you can say so. I don't even know how to invite people out. I'm inviting you to ask a question if you'd
Go
like
ahead,
to.
Luther.
All right, Phil. So, I'm a person like I'm heavy on like motivation, right? But I get stuck with writer's block. Like, um, what would be your advice to someone who is probably too far in their head and get stuck in the middle of their post?
Stop it. Like, I know this seems silly, but just knock it off. You're too good, Luther. Like, you seriously, you have too much to share. You have too much inside of you that you just need to stop it. Right? When you say get your inside your head, what are you inside your head about?
No, it's everything that you were talking about earlier, right? And I don't know if she's on the call. I was on Power Hour the other day, I think it was Tuesday with, and she was talking about the book Let Them, right? Like let people think what they want to think. Who cares, right? So that question was for me, but it was for anybody else who feels like they're stuck. They get stuck in posting. I think I get in my head about what people are gonna think. Um, Anytime I get stuck, it's about, oh, how are people gonna receive this? But it doesn't matter. It's message.
Yeah, what I've found is people are more nervous about what that person is going to respond with than the fear of what they're actually going to say. Kind of like what I was sharing with Megan, right? Megan was so worried that girl was never going to answer the phone. She spent a half hour arguing with me about what her next steps were. And you know what I said to her? And y'all, this is a lesson, right? My wife's a diamond and we're still going through this, right? So it's not going to change the farther you get in plexus. What's going to change is the courage that bubbles up inside of you.
That's good.
And so I said to her, I was like, Megan, you just wasted 25 minutes of bandwidth trying to plan out what would happen because you assumed she wasn't going to answer. And all you had to do was call her. So she wasn't nervous about what she was going to say to her. She was nervous that the person wasn't going to respond. You're not necessarily nervous of talking to someone about the opportunity. You're nervous of what if they laugh at you. So you're more worried about the outcome versus the task. I just want you to be task oriented.
Love that.
Actually, I was more scared she was going to pick up the phone. I was terrified she was actually going to pick up the phone and I was going to have a real conversation with her, with someone I would never pick up the phone and call, right? Like, I don't even actually have her phone number. I called her through Facebook Messenger and I was like, oh my gosh, if she actually picks up, what do I do? What do I say? Lo and behold, she picks up and I was like, hey, just so you know, this wasn't an accident. Like, that's literally how I started it. I thought she's going to be wondering, like, what? She said, I did think that at first. And then I thought, well, I'll just answer it anyway. And so then we dove into questions and I was able to handle, I mean, objection after objection after objection after objection on the phone. Whereas if we were going back and forth through text message, those objections, I mean, we never would have been able to get through them as fast as we did.
Yes.
We never would have been able to get into the depth of a conversation that we had if we weren't on the phone. And so now I don't know if she's actually going to do this with me. I have no idea. But what I do know is that I did the work. I called someone when I was scared and I practiced handling objections like a boss. I was sweating, okay? I was also outside running around after Hezi in Florida while doing this entire call, okay? And I was scared and I was nervous and I was like, gosh, I hope I'm answering these right. But the only way that you get better is by having more conversation. So, regardless of if she ever decides to do this with me, okay, that doesn't matter. It's about me and the growth that I experienced because I was willing to call someone when it made me scared. And I talked to her for 25 minutes and practiced handling objections. If you're unwilling to do those things, if you are unwilling to pay the price, you are never going to get to the top and you're never going to get better.
Y'all, can I just tell you a funny story? Right before this call, do you ever get those spam friend likes from Facebook where they message you and you can tell it's purely a spam? Well, I got friended by someone and I'm trying to get them to join Plexus. I know it's a scam. I know they're not going to sign up. But I'm literally practicing my sales pitch to a scam. Because I would rather be prepared. Y'all can laugh at me. I'm a dork. I know it. But where I'm trying to go with that is I would rather be prepared and not have an opportunity than have an opportunity and not be prepared. Y'all, when I leave this house, like what if, Luther, what if you today said, all right, tomorrow when I get up, someone is going to be put in my path for Plexus? How different are you going to look at every conversation versus if you're only waiting for Plexus to come up?
Facts.
Yo, that's what I do. Like it drives Megan crazy. We'll go on a date. I'm like, you need to get that girl on Facebook. She's like, can we just go on a date? No, we can't go on a date because we're building our network. This is what we do. So I'm always looking at growth. So to answer your original question, I think what it comes down to is you can't be afraid of the response. You have to be willing to do the action and allow the response to take hold. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, that's great. Appreciate it.
All right, what else we got? Yeah, listen, I know y'all got questions. There's 47 people on here. There wouldn't be 47 people on here if y'all didn't have questions or wanted this information. So let's start unmuting and let's start getting at it. Sorry, I apologize. But seriously.
I'm here because I wanted you to yell at me. So thank you.
All right, let's go, Rachel.
That's it. I just wanted you. I told Alita earlier, it's insane. Like this is literally my most successful month in 18 months. Like literally tomorrow morning, I will hit senior gold. It has been 16 months in the making, and I was dealing with self-doubt this morning. I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like I've had 27 people join my team this month, and I'm doubting myself that I can't go further. And that's what I told her. I listened to, because I was speaking at the penitentiary, the state penitentiary. They asked for me to speak as a woman entrepreneur. And I'm like, I can speak to everyone else about belief and you can live your dreams like Les Brown. And I didn't have the belief this morning in myself and was feeling sorry for myself. And I'm like, and Alita said that. She's like, this is literally your biggest month that you've ever had. And yeah. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
I have a story for that too, Rachel. And
Okay.
first of all, that is amazing that you're going to go senior gold. Like that's incredible. Congratulations. That's freaking awesome. So I remember the month that Megan ranked Sapphire, double ranked Sapphire Diamond. She was in her head that she wasn't good enough. I remember I had to call Alita and I literally said, I'm about to strangle this woman because we just hit Sapphire and now she doesn't believe we can go diamond. Like, this is crazy. But what I think the mistake we made is thinking those thoughts are never going to come. I know those thoughts are going to come. So what you have to practice is not, I should not be thinking these things. It's, what am I going to do when those thoughts come in? So for Megan, it was, I'm going to get Alita on the call because she don't want to hear from me right now. So I'm going to get Alita, right? But so for you, it's not if the doubt's going to come, because it's going to come. It's not if the disbelief is going to come, because it's going to come. It's what am I doing for my mind? What am I doing with mindset? So when it comes, I can change. Does that make sense, y'all? So don't be so disappointed, like, oh my gosh, I had doubt. I would be like, oh my gosh, I had doubt, and it only disrupted me for 2 hours. Where last time it was a week. That's progress. Does that make sense? So bring that progress to hold. Like it was a month, then it was a week, then it was a few days. Now it's only a few hours. That's the difference between us and where a lot of you people are. Megan and I got in a fight the other day. You know what she did? Like 5 minutes after the fight, she came up and said, "I love you." And I'm like, "Whoa, what is going on with you?" She goes, "I know, I'm doing better." You know, it's not about if you're going to fight as a married couple. It's going to happen. But what is the response going to be? Does that make sense, y'all? So I love that you're going senior goal, Rachel. Rachel, that is just the beginning. You have to believe that. And I know that you do. I know. I know. But when that gets in your head, change your mind. Change your thoughts and move on.
I called Alita instantly. I was like, all right, accountability time. I need to talk to you. And I literally, there's a river like 5 minutes from my house. I drove down there in the Jeep, sat there for a couple minutes. I was like, all right, I'm good. And what you said, that was the difference, because when I did the Keith Callahan training with them, it wrecked me mentally and I was down forever. So literally, like you said, today was like, okay, I lost 30 minutes to an hour and now I'm back again. So that was awesome.
I love it. I love it. Anyone else, y'all?
I love that, Rach. And I can totally agree. Like when you're getting ready to kind of, you guys talk about like that level up, when you're getting ready to level up to that next level, the attack that becomes on you, whether it's your own attack, outside attack, I mean, the attack is real and the attack is deep. But being able to look at it from a perspective of, all right, I see you, I hear you, but I'm not going to believe you. And being able to shift that and move to the next thing has just been like so inspiring. And to be able to look back and be like, oh, I just did that. Like that's pretty cool. And you guys have instilled that in us so much. And thank you for really just pushing and constantly being like, listen, like, you know, you guys say all the time, like we're a diamond and we still get the attack. We still get put in those spots. So it's just that mindset is a huge piece of it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Bill, I have a question.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a second about like the picture people post with their posts, like from a marketing standpoint? Do you think it matters? Do you think like graphic versus realistic pictures of themselves versus like I don't like, is there a better thing to post with a post? Does that make sense?
I would say the most realistic is the best. So there's a thing going on right now in marketing where if you're on Instagram, you'll see people describing the products as if they're a product user, but they're really just a paid actor. But it gives you the assumption that, oh, look, they're just talking about this product. It's really a paid ad. Okay. And so people are becoming more and more, they just don't like being sold to. And that's where I tell people, I'm not selling anything. I'm sharing what it's done for me. I'm sharing the opportunity, and I'm allowing stories to tell what I'm trying to communicate. And so I would say if you have the opportunity to have a now sometimes a post is called for. So when you hear when I talk about something, guys, there's meats and the bones to it. If you ever have steak, and if you're a vegetarian, I apologize, we can't be friends. But if you have a steak, you can chew on the meat, and then if you get a bone, you spit it out. There's going to be bones to what I say. It's not going to be applicable to you. That does not mean the meat of what I said is inaccurate. Does that make sense? So don't focus on the letter of what I'm saying, but the spirit of what I'm saying. It's the most vulnerable and authentic marketing is going to be you. That does not mean to not use a graphic every once in a while. But what we've heard over the years too is, man, Megan, you pay for a social media manager, right? And so we don't anymore, but we used to. And it was like, I can never be as perfect as your graphics on social media, so I can't do this business. So there's pros and cons to everything. Does that make sense? So the pros of having really put together graphics and everything looks great is it's actually turning some people away because they don't think they can do it. I would say if you have the ability to take a photo. Now, I'm not talking about, and your hair's all crazy and you're just like, here's my pink drink. You know what I mean? Like put yourself together a little bit and take a nice product photo and be like, I love this stuff. Or take a Alita, I'm so sorry. This is probably not at all what you wanted. But, if you're at the grocery store, take a picture with the person at the grocery store. And be like, I just paid for my meal. Or I just paid for my groceries. I remember when Megan went Ruby, we went to a really nice restaurant. And listen, y'all, we have a joint account. Okay. But when she went Ruby, we said, we're going to go treat ourselves to a nice dinner. And she literally pulled out our joint account card and said, don't worry, baby, I got it. And she threw her card down because she was paying for dinner. And it was more symbolic than anything. The symbolism was she is making enough to pay for us to go do that. That was a celebratory dinner for her hitting a rank. So take a picture of that. And I believe she did. And I believe she shared the story of, I paid for dinner tonight. So it's being as real as possible is really important. It's really vulnerable. It's honestly, sometimes the messier it is, the more attention it's going to get, because it's not perfect. People don't want perfect because perfect is not reality. Does that answer your question, Alita?
Yes. Thank you.
But listen, if my wife's in her rat nest in the back, and it's all looking like a hot mess, and Kimberly's laughing really, of course I'm just being dramatic, and my wife's gonna kill me here tonight.
Hey, but there's also like that stuff is great.
Look,
No, I'm just saying, because literally Phil was like, you need to do a story. He's like, you. So I'm sitting there on the couch. I'm pregnant, if you didn't know, and my hair was not looking
everyone
great,
knows.
and I had a rough day. And I'm sitting there on the couch and he's like, you look like a disaster. And he said, people see you in your posts and on stage looking all put together and like, oh, look at Megan. He said, you better go share in your story as a video right now of what you actually look like the Monday after daylight savings with all of our children. And so that kind of content is amazing for stories.
Yeah.
The messier, the better in your stories. Show them the real version of you with your hair all crazy and all that stuff. But when you're doing a post, you want it to catch their attention, right? So if it's bad, like what Jill Renfro was talking about, if it's bad lighting, if you don't clean off your camera, if you don't slap a good filter on it, you're not going to grab people's attention. If it's just a graphic, you're not going to grab their attention, right? So like a little tip for put together pictures is like on Sunday, maybe you're dressed up, or after you go out on a date, take a bunch of pictures and then you have them. But stories, be extra messy, because that's what people love. And that's how they connect with you in that vulnerability, because you look like a hot mess, right? You can only hide that for so many days.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
It's perfect. I love it. So good.
Awesome.
All right. Speak up now or forever hold your peace. Phil, thank you so much, seriously, for being willing to do this and giving of your time. We are grateful and we appreciate it. I'll get you
Hey,
guys
thank you
recording
all.
soon. Thank you.
Bye.